So I am the villain.
You may be the villain, but you're also an evil genius. The man lost over 250 pounds in just 2 years without anyone noticing. Some are calling it fake, some are calling it dangerous, while Nick himself has called it
the greatest social experiment of my entire life.
But what's the truth? What's even real anymore? Because while everyone else has been focused on the incredible amount of weight loss, you've all missed what's really going on here. Hello Internet, welcome to Food Theory, the show that's always 2 steps ahead. Speaking of 2 steps ahead, we have to talk about the insanely viral video that was just released by the infamous Nikocado Avocado. For those who aren't familiar with his unique style, Nikocado Avocado, who I'm just gonna call Nick from now on because I am not about to say Nikocado Avocado 1,000 times in this episode, is known as the king of mukbangs on YouTube. A mukbang, mukbang, however you want to pronounce it, literally translates from Korean as eating show or eating broadcast, and is essentially a video of someone sitting in front of a camera and filming themselves eating an ungodly amount of food in one sitting. It's not exactly my cup of tea, but to each their own, I guess. In Nick's case, he also throws in skits, outbursts, and dare I say lore that really makes you start to question what is real and what's his quote-unquote character. But one of the big things that people noticed about Nick's videos is that you can clearly see that over the years of doing these mukbangs, sometimes up to 5 videos a week, it started to take a toll on his body. Over time, he's continued to put on weight, which, yeah, considering how much he eats, totally fair. But while all of our weights often fluctuate, not many of us are having our diets laid out to bear for the whole internet to see, quite like Nikocado Avocado. And that's why his latest video is such a big shock. In a video that now has over 37 million views at the time of recording, Nick revealed that he had lost all of the weight, over 250 pounds. Whoa, how did he lose so much weight so fast? His latest video on his main channel was posted just 7 months ago. Come to think of it, he had just posted videos to his other channels only days before this. It left a lot of people asking, what the heck is going on? And that is where the genius of this comes in. As it turns out, Nick had pre-recorded over 2 years worth of videos and has been drip feeding it to us like the little ants we are. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, he's been working on his weight loss journey. Seriously? My dude has a backlog of 2 years worth of videos? If we're more than a week ahead of schedule here at Theorists, we throw a party, which isn't helped by the fact that viral things like this pop out of nowhere and throw off our entire workflow. But seriously, bravo, Mr. Avocado. This was one of the greatest plot twists in YouTube history. Or is it? You see, as soon as Nick posted his video, the internet, the skeptical monster that it is, started to have doubts about Nick's little social experiment. Some said that his video was all AI, and I don't know if you've seen AI lately, but I don't think they're quite up to the task yet. To be fair, it was an incredible amount of weight that Nick was able to drop in such a short amount of time. According to a statement he gave to reporters, he went from 411 pounds to 158 in just 2 years. That 253-pound loss comes out to an average of about 2.4 pounds per week, or about 10.5 pounds a month. That's some Biggest Loser levels of pound shredding. Oh no, am I the only one that remembers that show? Leave a comment down below to show me I'm not alone. And look, you have no idea how complicated the science behind losing weight is. Things like age and gender obviously have an effect, but even things like the kinds of bacteria that live in your gut and your ethnicity can affect how your body reacts when trying to lose weight. But considering we don't have access to his personal medical records, we're gonna have to default to using the old calories in, calories out metric. Again, this isn't the end-all be-all here, but it will give us a good baseline in trying to unpack the scale of Nick's diet. To start off, everyone, be it Nikocado Avocado, Jason Momoa, or even me, is constantly burning calories just from existing. The calories needed to keep your heart beating and your digestive system chugging along. This is known as your basal metabolic rate, or BMR. For all the reasons I mentioned earlier, no 2 people are gonna have the exact same BMR, but in general, if you eat less calories than your BMR, you'll lose weight. If you eat more calories than your BMR and don't supplement that with exercise, you'll gain weight. So next time someone asks what you've been doing all day, instead of saying binging all the latest food theories, you can say that you've just been maintaining your basal metabolic rate. But all kidding aside, let's look at Nick from the start of his weight loss journey. 2 years ago, he was a 6-foot-tall, 30-year-old male who approximately weighed 411 pounds. Using a BMR calculator, Nick's approximate metabolic rate should be about 2,872 calories per day. That is the calorie benchmark from just laying in bed all day and doing nothing. A good rule of thumb is that if you want want to lose approximately 1 pound a week, you'll want to have a caloric deficit, meaning you take in less calories than you burn, of about 500 calories per day. To achieve his nearly 2.5 pound a week weight loss, that would mean that Nick had to have a caloric deficit of around 1,250 calories, meaning Nick would need to be eating just 1,600 calories per day, the equivalent of 3 Big Macs, which everybody knows is the universal caloric measuring stick. And 3 Big Macs wouldn't make for that great of a mukbang. I mean, just compare that 1,600 calories to the literal mountains of food he'd eat for our, I don't want to say pleasure, curiosity? Although apparently he is the 14th highest earning creator on OnlyFans. Do with that information what you please. But again, 1,600 calories is such a tiny amount of food in the grand scheme of things. Going from the possible tens of thousands of calories he was eating on a daily basis to just 1,600 is a massive adjustment. Maybe too big. And that's what leads into the meat of what I wanted to discuss in this episode. There's been a lot of people online trying to rain on Nick's parade, saying that he must be cheating somehow. Maybe not with AI or CGI, but something else. And so, as the food theorist, I thought I was best suited to run through all the possible ways Nick could have ditched all that weight so quickly. Heck, maybe he was 2 steps ahead of us after all.
So stick around because we'll be right back after these short messages.
Embrace your legacy. The Legacy Collection, featuring 4 new signature jackets and a range of flattering graphic tees, is available now at luminofficial.com.
Let's start off by looking at perhaps the fastest and easiest, albeit expensive and painful, explanation for Nick's transformation, and that is liposuction. Liposuction, as the name suggests, means to suck lipid fats, and that's more or less how it actually works. Typically, a doctor will inject a special liquid called tumescent fluid into the parts of your body you want to remove fat from. This fluid contains ingredients like a painkiller, something to prevent blood loss, and something to make it easier to break down and remove the fat with what is essentially a super powerful vacuum cleaner. Through liposuction, anyone, including Nick, could get all of the fat removed in a single or even a few sessions. No need to backlog videos, count calories, or basically do anything else that Nick claimed he did. At first, I had my suspicions that this might be the reason behind Nick's seemingly impossible body transformation. You see, along with Nick posting his new videos revealing his dastardly plan, he also created a new Instagram. The posts so far have been a mix of before and after shots, as well as reels of him dancing in his boxers. But what I noticed is the fact that all of these new photos are of him with his shirt firmly on. And that's weird because it's not like Nick has ever been self-conscious about revealing all of himself before, so why start now? Unless he was trying to hide surgery scars. Well, while it is true that liposuction does have some scarring, it's usually really tiny, barely noticeable ones from where the incisions are made. These are even smaller and less noticeable in the hands of a talented surgeon. We also have more evidence that proves that Nick's weight was in fact coming off more gradually than would have otherwise been possible with liposuction. Around 3 months ago, he posted a video onto his second channel, which apparently shows him significantly lighter than he'd appeared in a video in years. So no, I don't think Nick got liposuction. It seems more likely that his weight loss was much more gradual than a one-off surgery. So if liposuction isn't the reason behind Nick's body transformation, it's probably finally time to say the thing I'm sure you've been screaming into your screens about this entire episode. Let's talk about Ozempic. You've probably no doubt at this point heard of the new wonder drug that's been taking celebrity diets by storm. And well, you look at that. If you take a look at Google Trends, when did Ozempic start popping off? Suspiciously around the time that Nick's weight loss journey supposedly began, in 2022. But what exactly is Ozempic? Ozempic is an injectable prescription medication that was originally approved not for weight loss, but for the management of type 2 diabetes. Ozempic works by mimicking a hormone in your body called glucagon-like peptide 1, or GLP-1. For those managing type 2 diabetes, the main issue they're suffering from is an inability of their body to control blood sugar levels. GLP-1, and therefore Ozempic, fixes this by telling the pancreas to release more insulin, a hormone that lowers blood sugar and tells your liver to stop producing as much in the first place. This, along with the slowing of the movement of food in your digestive system, ends up being a godsend for those suffering from type 2 diabetes. But as an added side effect of all of that, it also drastically diminishes your appetite, literally making it so you have less of a desire to eat. Perfect if you're trying to ditch those cravings while getting on a diet. And while Ozempic is technically not meant to be used for weight loss, people have been begin using it to bolster their weight loss routine. And that's sort of the thing with Ozempic. It doesn't actually do anything to cause you to lose weight. It only works to neutralize those cravings. And hey, for some, that's enough to help keep their caloric intake below that basal metabolic rate. But Ozempic is absolutely not a miracle drug like some claim it is, and it's not the easy way out. And you know what? Even Ozempic isn't enough to fully explain just the sheer amount of weight that Nick lost. Typically, patients on Ozempic and drugs like it report losing an average of 15 to 20% of their body weight, and just around a third of patients only lose about 10%. Nick, on the other hand, he lost 61% of his weight. So even if Nick was using Ozempic, and at this point we really have no evidence that he did, Ozempic isn't this magic injection that causes pounds to just shed off. It can help manage some of those cravings, but it still requires a huge amount of personal dedication to stay on track. And so if liposuction is extremely unlikely, and Ozempic, even if used, not being nearly enough to explain his gargantuan weight loss, then what else is there? Well, some people have a theory that he's actually gone through another type of surgery, gastric bypass. If you're not familiar with the procedure, it works by stapling off a small egg-sized pouch of your stomach and then attaching that pouch to the middle of your small intestine. The result is a smaller stomach so that you get full with less food, and by literally bypassing the beginning of your intestine, it limits the amount of calories your body absorbs from the food you do eat. It's not without its risks, but it's extremely effective. Most people who get the procedure done can lose anywhere from half to 2/3 of their starting weight within 2 years, which pretty much falls in line with how much Nick lost in the time period. It's more gradual of a loss than liposuction, but more dramatic than Ozempic. At first glance, it does seem like a solid theory behind the weight loss, until you watch the rest of the video, and the part 2 that follows it. That's because of his signature mukbang. See, one of the things that doctors warn about after gastric bypass surgery is overeating. Remember, your stomach being stapled into such a small pouch means it can only hold about 4 tablespoons worth of food, up to 16 tablespoons about a year later. Eating more than that can lead to a lot of problems, like food not being properly digested and putting a huge strain on your internal organs. Eating 5,000 calories of noodles like Nick did in the videos would absolutely put him in serious discomfort and even danger. Not to mention, it could probably lead to undoing the weight loss he took 2 years to accomplish. But here's the thing, it didn't take 2 years. You see, the now infamous video seems to be a direct follow-up to another video of his.
2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead.
Sound familiar?
2 steps ahead. I am always 2 steps ahead.
He's actually compiled the 2 videos on his 3rd channel, which means that, yeah, he has probably been planning this whole thing for 2 years, since the first one came out in 2022. But it wasn't just 2 years. If you look closely at the date the first video was released, you'll see it released in February, slightly over 2.5 years ago. It may not seem like much, but an extra 6 months to lose the weight is actually a pretty huge difference in how much you have to lose per week. Instead of 2.4 pounds, which is over the recommended amount, it would be a half a pound less, or 1.87 pounds per week, which lands him right in the sweet spot. Don't get me wrong, it's still extremely impressive that he was able to accomplish the transformation, but it's not as crazy or even unhealthy as it may have seemed at first. If anything, it seems like he did it at a safe and responsible pace, which is a refreshing change for all things internet. There is one unfortunate side effect of this eye-catching headline everyone is fixated on though. While everyone is focused on the feat that Nick accomplished in this elaborate stunt, both the weight loss and the fact that he hit it for 2 years, the real message of the video has gone relatively undiscussed, and that's the idea that the audience doesn't truly know what's going on behind the scenes. But because of the relationship they develop with creators, they think they do. It's easy to miss it in his video, especially since he wraps it up in his over-the-top villain persona, but it's what really merits discussion. Nick talks about how up until pretty much the moment his new video released, his viewers bashed his weight, his reputation, and even his relevance in the grand scheme of things, all because of the content that he was carefully curating for them to see. It was an outrage that, whether it was warranted or not, was basically manufactured by Nick. Despite not nearly knowing the full scope of the situation, because there's only this vague sense of a fourth wall when it comes to social media, viewers had an easier time thinking they knew exactly what was going on behind the scenes and judging. And it's not just with him. Sure, Nick took it to an extreme most don't in order to show just how big this disconnect can be between not only the on-screen persona and the real person, but also the creator and their audience. But the truth is though, almost every creator on the platform has to occasionally keep their cards close to their chest. And that includes us here at Theorists. I mean, we pride ourselves on our transparency in everything we do, and we do everything we can to be level with you in our community, because that is the most important thing to us. But sometimes that's not possible. For example, while it may have come as a shock to you and a lot of people on the internet, Matt leaving and the new hosts taking over the channels was something that we'd been sitting on for some time. Had we told the community about it the second we knew, it would have been chaos. So instead, we waited for the right moment. We planned out every aspect of his retirement and the switch to us while keeping it hidden. And it wasn't easy, but it was the right thing to do.
Not just to make sure we were ready, but most importantly, to make sure you were ready.
It's necessary for creators to have that layer of separation between what's on camera, what's behind the camera, and between them and their viewers. But when that line gets blurred,
and we forget that what we're seeing isn't always real, or that the people we're watching are in fact people,
it gets messy. That's why, while a lot of his fans have embraced his change in the move he made, some fans have felt like Nick conned them. They felt cheated by him. I'm not discounting those feelings, but at the end of the day, content creation is entertainment, and he didn't do anything wrong by hiding what was really going on. Even when it seems like a video is a window into someone's life, it almost always is crafted to appear that way, for everyone's benefit. So even when it seems like you know exactly who it is you're watching, or even that what you're watching is real, always remember, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit.
Lumin's got a secret ingredient so rare it doesn't even exist. Outside of the Theorists Legacy Collection, that is. Limited edition t-shirts and 5 classic flavors based on your favorite theories now available. Let the whole world know that blue raspberry is just a theory.